Now, we know this isn't about compassion. They said open borders were about giving people a better chance at life. But ICE just ripped that mask off, and what they found wasn't just illegal workers. It was evidence of something far darker, something the Biden administration had no plan to stop because they created it.
Get off the ground! Get off the fucking ground! Give me your hand! Give me your hand! Give me your hand! Run in! Run in!
Un saludo con la fuerza del corazón ahí en la justicia.
Yeah, so ICE raided another Florida construction job site. You'd think that it's just undocumented labor, right? Wrong. This wasn't just about who was working. This was about who went missing and who profited while they vanished. Because when ICE started pulling the thread, it unraveled something no one's ready to admit. And if that's what they uncovered on accident, imagine what's still hidden. Let me show you how I protect myself from digital threats. Aren't you tired of getting these spam calls and text messages? Do you even know why you're getting them in the first place? No worries, I'll explain. You see, these big tech companies, they are not doing a good job of protecting our data, keeping it safe at all. Like, they're not even trying, literally. Recently, Ticketmaster was hacked and over 500 million users' data was put up for sale on the dark web. And the reason they didn't inform you about this is because, according to them, this doesn't have a material impact on our company. So yeah, the stolen data, it includes full names, addresses, email addresses, your credit card info, and basically that makes them you. And in that case, you would want it to be spam instead of fraud, I'm telling you. And this is why I have to bring to your attention today the sponsor of this video, Aura.com. You see, Aura.com alerts me anytime my data is breached, giving me fast fraud alerts, and it removes my info from data broker websites to cut down on spam. And they also offer things like the VPN, transaction monitoring, antivirus protection. You also got parental controls and identity theft insurance, all in one affordable app, might I add. If my data was ever to be compromised again, I wouldn't even be in no type of worry state. You know why? Because I know Aura is in the background keeping me safe and protected, as well as your family for that matter. So in order to ensure that protection, please visit aura.com/kingdomreacts right now and get your first 2 weeks on us. And don't worry, I had a link available in the description for you. Now, we know evil hides in plain sight, so your protection better be invisible and relentless. Now let me show you the calls for help that nobody answered.
Story 65,000 hotline calls going unanswered. You hear the story of one of the calls where we couldn't help this kid until Trump gets into office. What do you make of all this?
Well, just to put it in perspective, a couple things. Remember back to when I had an active terror suspect that had come in from Afghanistan. I met a guy from Iran who said the guy in the camp was here. He was a terrorist. He admitted to being a terrorist. He gave a fake name. It took me an hour and a half to get somebody on the phone to actually take it seriously. I was basically told by Homeland Security that unless I knew the guy's exact address, where he was, and his actual name, that they wouldn't even take the report. That was for an active terror suspect. You compare that to the children. Joe Biden not only stopped doing biometric testing on these kids that were recycled. As an example, I found one child, one case that Border Patrol told me that a child in Yuma, Arizona was recycled 13 times. That means an adult brought that child across, sent that child back to Mexico. Another adult brought that child across, did whatever they wanted them to, sent that child back to Mexico. That was before biometric testing under President Trump. Joe Biden ended biometric testing, and I interviewed somebody from the unaccompanied minors program that had to stay anonymous right after Joe Biden took office. Not only did they stop the biometrics testing, background checks on everybody in the household. President Trump, they used to check not just the parents, the adults that these children were going to, but they were checking everybody in that household. Joe Biden stopped that. Joe Biden operated the largest child trafficking ring in world history, and it came right through our southern border. Every single one of these people that was involved with this needs to be arrested. And we're just touching the tip of that iceberg, Grant, on just how bad this was. When we start getting the real stories of what was done to these children, once they got in, once we actually start finding them and returning them back to their actual parents, it's just the tip of the iceberg. It is absolutely criminal what happened.
Let me play a clip for you. We told Art Del Cueto, former Border Patrol agent, now with the Border Patrol Council, I know he's a friend of yours like he is mine, about all these calls going unanswered for help from these kids. Apparently there was only one staffer tasked with answering these calls, as they're getting thousands of them. This was his reaction to us telling him about that.
65,000 phone calls. 65,000 times kids called because they were in danger, and it was ignored by the Biden administration. Think about that. Think about those children and how desperate and the despair that they felt that they were able to communicate and make those phone calls because they were promised, make this call if there's problems, and they went unanswered. That is just the most disgusting thing.
Ben, I know you agree with him. Let's leave it with some hopefulness. Tell me, if you can, 30, 45 seconds, the difference now with the Trump administration and what you're seeing as they try to rescue these children.
Well, first I want to start with the dark spot, because that is the kids. 65,000 are the ones that actually had the courage to call. There were tens of thousands more that were afraid for their lives that never were able to make that phone call. But the bright news is we're finding those children. President Trump, ICE, all of the agencies in America now are tasked with finding those children. We are doing that, and we've stopped the bleeding on our southern border. And that's the difference. President Trump is America first, but he's also child first. And that's what's happening now. I just pray for the ones that are still in these demons' hands that we can get them before it's too late.
65,000. That's not a typo. That's a cover up. You give kids a phone number for safety, then ignore the calls. That doesn't sound like a broken system. It sounds more like a designed failure. And that's the worst part. No one's being held accountable. Joe Biden, Kamala, Mayorkas. How many of those kids are alive? You ever wonder that?
So I went to this secret migrant shelter in Massachusetts, and what I found out ended up with them calling the police on me. Now, they charge the taxpayer $100,000 per month for just Lyft rides for the illegal immigrants. I know that because the ex-director of this migrant shelter reached out to me to expose all the fraud and corruption taking place in the shelter. Take a listen.
Elliot has a contract with both Uber and Lyft, and they just pay them directly. Most of them have nice cars. But when they have a doctor's appointment in Boston, or they have a immigration hearing in New Hampshire, you think they use their own car? Nope. They say, oh, I need an Uber. The amount of money that we would spend on Ubers and Lyfts was well in excess of $100,000 a month. A good estimate was about $1.2 million a year.
What's even crazier is that this shelter is charging the taxpayer for rooms that are not even being used.
Back a year ago, I would have 10 empty rooms, but the state would still get billed $180 a night for those 10 empty rooms. They would still get billed for the meals in those rooms too. So there is a tremendous amount of waste and or fraud.
There's millions of more dollars in fraud that I exposed, and if this video gets over 500 followers, I'll post part 5 today.
Wow. You pay for that. While veterans slept on sidewalks, they're billing $1.2 million a year to give illegal immigrants what they were billing to get them luxury rides to court. And guess what? Half the rooms were empty. But they charged full price anyway. You think that's charity? This is a business model, an intentional one. This is taxpayer-funded trafficking with a paper trail. You don't need conspiracies when invoices are obvious. Now, why did this LA sheriff ignore the 435 ICE detainer request?
We do document when ICE sends us detainer request. So we know, based right now on the numbers I gave you earlier, at least for this year, I think there's 435 people that they've asked for in 2025 that they've requested, but we have not fulfilled any of them because of state law. And honestly, the county policy is even more strict than state law, so it prohibits me from turning those over unless that federal judicial warrant exists. We do.
Let that sink in. 435 criminals flagged for removal, and not one was handed over. Why? Because California is protecting criminals over citizens. You want to stop trafficking? Start by arresting the mayors, the sheriffs, and the governors who aid this. Just look at this body cam footage of this guy who was arrested, this illegal alien who barely speaks English, arrested for vandalism and assault. Listen to what he actually has to say.
Take a photo of you real quick.
Just because you arrest me, you want to lose your job? You want to see?
Okay. Why would I lose my job?
What the fuck I do you?
Okay.
Close their investigation and determine if something happened or not. And if nothing happened, then it is. Okay.
You hot as fuck.
Okay. 98? All right. So, right now, you're under arrest for vandalism and assault, okay? We're going to transport you back to the station, all right? Okay? So we're going to walk over to that car, all right?
So what? I'm gonna
take a photo of you real quick.
So, that man just got arrested for assault. And apparently, they said he's still talking slick. I didn't hear much talking, if I'm being honest. For whatever reason, it was reported that. But if he was, it would be because he knows the system would bend for him. And they wouldn't report him. They wouldn't detain him. And ICE won't even give him a chance to try. Sanctuary cities? No. It's what we call criminal-friendly zones now. And the moment ICE shows up to do their job, watch how the left suddenly pretends to care about human life.
On Friday, protesters gathered outside the Henderson Detention Center as part of the nationwide ICE Out protest. Organizers with the Las Vegas Party for Socialism and Liberation pointed to the death of Jaime Alanis, who fell 30 feet during an ICE raid at a Southern California cannabis farm, as one example of the consequences of raids.
We're just drawing attention to the fact that these escalations are deadly. You know, there are people who are seeing fatal consequences to the aggression of ICE within our communities.
As of Friday, the Henderson Detention Center housed 88 ICE detainees, but noted that number can fluctuate on a daily basis. On Friday,
a worker falls and dies in the middle of a raid, and who do they blame? Not the illegal employer. Not the system that exploits him. They blame ICE. They turn law enforcement into villains and criminals into martyrs. It's not a protest, man. That's definitely propaganda. And if you think this is all just a domestic mess, let's zoom out to see what's been funding this global flood.
I do remember how Mr. George Soros published his plan in English in a Project Syndicate publication. It was done 2015.
George Soros he's referring to.
September 26. And he published a plan. He said that he is I'm quoting, he write the 6 components of my comprehensive plan. I just quote 2 or 3 points of that. First is, he said very clearly, 2015, that, quoting again, EU has to accept at least 1 million asylum seekers annually. That was the first point. Second, he said, adequate financing is critical. And he proposed to issue long-term euro bonds for financing the migration crisis and the migrants' social and welfare taking care when they arrive to the European Union. And another point which is very important for Hungary, which is involving the territory of Hungary directly into this program, he said that, quoting them, safe channels must be established for asylum seekers, starting with getting them from Greece and Italy to their destination countries, which means to bring them to Greece, to Hungary, and then have them to go to Austria. So don't forget that what we are speaking about is not an accidental stories, not a bulk of 10 years of accidental stories. It's a plan which is going on. It was written. It was published. It's known. So we are fighting again an organized gang called Empire of George Soros, NGOs, who are just supporting everybody who is transgressing our legal system and our regulation, and financing illegal activity against our nation. So this is why the story is not just about migration, but it's about how this European Union is working and how George Soros was able to captive the main positions inside many institutions of European Union, buying out MPs and other leaders, and in order to execute the plan which is written, and it's against all the Christian and nation-based political forces. It's against us. It's about how to change Europe and how to eliminate and push aside all the Christian, conservative, national-based political leaders and voters from the European Union decision-making bodies. So this is the migration about, not just about migration.
He put it in writing. George Soros outlined the Empire Plan in 2015. Shout out to my followers. They've been telling me too, digging at George Soros. Mass migration, euro bonds to fund it, safe channels to flood nations like Hungary, Germany, and the U.S. Now, this isn't a theory. This is a blueprint. And every politician following it, they're not naive. They're bought. And when ICE pushes against this blueprint, they end up wrestling bodies in the middle of your neighborhood. You know, look at this. This is a man who escapes ICE after being tackled by 2 masked agents, as they put it. I mean, how many times has this happened off camera? They chased them down, risked their lives, and then sanctuary states make sure that they are released again. ICE isn't failing. The system is sabotaging them on purpose, because if enforcement works, the laws fall apart. But don't take my word for it. Let the former ICE director break it down for you. I mean, current. Why did I say former? I don't know. What is wrong with me?
70% of the people we're arresting are criminals. Hard stop, 70%. Who are the other 30%? The other 30% are national security threats. Like, we've arrested over 300 Iranian nationals. These are people who are national security threats based on intelligence, based on other information. These are people we have to take off the street, that we have to deport. Who's the rest of that 30%? These are people who had due process at great taxpayer expense, and a judge ordered them removed. A federal judge said they must be deported. So our job is to deport those people. 70%, 70% of the people.
7 out of every 10 ICE is removing criminals. The other 30%, national security threats. So when the media tells you they're just here for a better life, you have to ask them, why are we catching more felons than farmers? They're not immigrants. They're invaders wrapped in victim stories. And speaking of stories, watch how they try to spin the next one.
I think that was the worst day of my life, because I was ready to go to have lunch with my parents and then to go out with my friends. But they detain me on my birthday.
Wendy just graduated her freshman year in college with a 3.8 GPA. She's a pre-med student who wants to be a pediatrician. She graduated from high school with a 4.0. She and her family came to this country seeking asylum from Cuba. They presented as a family unit at their ICE check-in on Wendy's 19th birthday, and they were taken into detention and they were separated.
Being here, it's so hard for me because I was supposed to be out, getting ready for my med school applications. I was supposed to be doing community service. And being here is so hard because I don't even deserve to be here.
Imagine yourself and your own family, your own parents or your own children going to some bureaucratic governmental appointment, I don't know, social security appointment. And the next thing you know, you've been ripped apart and you're being stripped naked and told to drink water out of the toilet. Imagine that happened to you and your family.
I came here 2 years ago. I came here because I was running from my country. But then when I came, I realized how many opportunities I could have in this country if I worked hard. And I did. I worked so hard. I did high school in 2 years. I won a scholarship, and I've been working my freshman year a lot because I have a goal. I want to go to med school.
Wendy has suffered panic attacks, anxiety, sleeplessness. She has difficulty eating. And this is a very common situation with people in immigration detention specifically because the conditions are terrible and because people didn't expect to be treated this way. But there's also an indefinite nature to immigration detention. Nobody knows exactly when their hearing's going to be or how long they're going to be detained. And that really breaks down people's mental health.
What about, can you tell us about your relationship with your little brother?
He's amazing. My friends, we are a very, very close family. So we grow up with a lot of love. But my relationship with him is special. We have something else. My dad loves that because he knows that we aren't just brother and sister. We're friends. Even when he's 9 and I'm 19, that doesn't matter. He's the most amazing kid in the world. He worries about me like he's an adult. He's like all the time, eat, you have to sleep.
The data is out and it's clear. The people being detained and deported, the vast majority are not criminals. 70% of the people deported by Trump so far have no criminal history whatsoever. I also, of course, see that in my own practice. All of the clients that I represent are hardworking people who came here to have a better life, the vast majority of whom have never had an interaction with law enforcement whatsoever. They're good, decent, hardworking family people, exactly the kind of people that we want and need in this country. And we're treating them like animals. And we're going to fight hard to get you out at your bond hearing. And if the judge doesn't decide our way because of these new Trump policies, we're going to keep fighting for you. We're going to work on getting you released by ICE or appealing the decision of the judge. I still have hope and confidence that the judge will make a positive decision the day of your hearing. But no matter what, we're not going to give up on you.
She missed her birthday lunch. But you know who missed dinner? Those 65,000 kids no one called back. She came here legally, jumped the line, and now they want us to cry while she's fast-tracked to med school. Nah. You want to be here legally? Wait your turn like everybody else's family did. This ain't about immigration anymore, man. It's about the exploitation of America by globalists, sanctuary cities, and politicians who profit off pain. I just exposed what they tried to bury: fraud, trafficking, silence. But truth doesn't stay buried forever. Make sure y'all follow me on X and Rumble up here and join the team thing. 4 times club, 4 videos, 4 likes, 4 comments. No money, no fluff. Just truth. And real quick before I get up out of here, y'all know I got to do my shout outs. Huge shout out to Sherry West 134, Richard Laurent 7229, Y'all got a lot of numbers in y'all joints, man. We got Sean Y2R. Sanja Morris, 7085. Appreciate y'all, man. Please be safe and go check on somebody today. You can quite literally be saving their life. But go and give me some rest. Peace.